It's time. It's finally time. In the last video, I talked about all the W's that Geto and Gojo took, and now it's time for them to finally get exposed by Toji. After watching the first two episodes, I thought the entire point of this flashback arc was to remind us how OP Gojo actually is while also building upon his backstory with Geto. Because if you tried telling me that this man Toji was finna put Gojo and Geto on a t-shirt this arc, I would not have believed you. Let's just be real for one moment and take a second to look at this man Toji. He has the most bland and fodder character design I've ever seen. Like, who really thought this man right here was gonna be the one to put the almighty Gojo in his place and humble him? Cause it sure wasn't me. But then it happened. Toji was 6 inches deep in the 6 eyes. And something about this just didn't feel right. It gave me a similar feeling to when I was a kid watching the Cell games in Dragon Ball Z, and all the Cell Juniors were just violating the Z Fighters. And those little blue minions were putting the work in on characters like Vegeta, Trunks, and even Goku. Like, the 3 of y'all are all Super Saiyans, and one of y'all is the MC, and y'all are getting the same treatment that Yamcha and Tien are getting right now. But seriously, this whole sequence of events was just so unexpected. Like, this episode started off, we were letting Riko enjoy her last days going places like the beach and even the aquarium. But then literally all within about 10 to 15 minutes, Toji had the entire squad wiped out. This is just a prime example of how in anime, the second you get caught lacking, everything goes wrong. But let's go ahead and get into this Gojo versus Toji fight, and I'm not even gonna call this a fight actually. Let's go ahead and get into this Toji versus Gojo violation. So Gojo dropped his guard for all of 5 seconds, and that's all it took for Toji to rearrange his guts. And this man Gojo just starts having a casual conversation with Toji. Like, this man didn't just stab him through his back. What other anime character do you know that's gonna get casually stabbed in the back and then have a conversation with the person that just stabbed them? At this point, any other normal anime character would have either been dead or they would have been already running the fade, but nah, Gojo's too cool for that. And this man Toji is a next level hater, because we find out he's been hating on Gojo since Gojo was like 6 years old and was a little kid, just because he saw him. Like, Gojo was the first and the last person to ever notice Toji, and Toji did not let that slide. Toji has been planning his get back, and it's finally arrived just now. So at this point, we have a couple of options on how we can decide to handle this situation. We have option A, where Geto and Gojo just absolutely jump Toji and beat the brakes off him. And this is JJK we're talking about, where jumping is more than accepted here. Or we have option B, where either Gojo or Geto can run the runs with Toji, and the other person takes Riko to get sacrificed to Tengen. And of course, Gojo goes with the latter option and decides to run the 1v1 versus Toji, because of course it's Gojo. He doesn't think anybody can stop him 1v1. But Gojo failed to realize that Toji's on a different level. Geto and Gojo, they've been playing chess, but Toji's playing checkers against them. Watching this back, Toji really could have just stabbed and killed Riko instead of stabbing Gojo. But then what would have happened to Toji? He wasn't gonna get to just walk away if he killed Riko. He was definitely gonna have to run that 2v1 against Geto and Gojo. And let's be honest, that 2v1, they're dog walking him. And now Gojo's starting to process that Toji is actually a threat to him right now. And that makes Gojo get deep in his bag, and he starts pulling out all the moves I was telling y'all about in my last video. He pulled out the hollow blue, he pulled out the almighty push, and even all that was not enough to stop Toji. Because the second Gojo started to worry about Riko and stopped worrying about his fight with Toji is when Toji decided to put this man Gojo in the Mortal Kombat fatality. Like, Toji was actually very thorough in making sure that this man Gojo was getting sent to the Shadow Realm with no return. And the fact that Gojo honestly was able to survive all these attacks and all these wounds Toji gave him does not make sense. Just look at the gaping hole that Toji left in Gojo and all the blood he lost, and you're not telling me he only got up for this? He got a Dragon Ball Z Zenkai boost and manages to get even stronger? Yeah, okay, sounds good, and I have 10,000 subscribers since we're all just telling lies here. But seriously, hit that subscribe button if you made it this far in the video. But now that Gojo's been taken out, we can go ahead and talk about how his little boyfriend Geto got taken out too now. And I'm not even finna lie to you, this man Toji was so disrespectful towards Geto. Toji puts a bullet in Riko, and then Geto asks how he's even there, and he just intentionally had to mention that he killed and bodied Gojo, of course, to get there. Toji definitely knew he hurt a nerve with that one, because Geto goes straight to trying to run the fade and pulls out his dragon and attacks Toji. And something about Toji being in the JJK world just does not seem right to me still. He gets attacked by a giant mystical white dragon, and his counterattack and response to Geto is to pull out a gun and let 3 shots go at him. This just feels like I'm watching Grand Theft Auto and someone just put in the most ridiculous mods and it's all just unfolding in front of me. Honestly though, would I be wrong to say that Geto put up a better fight against Toji than Gojo did? Is that crazy to say? Is that a hot take? Because while Toji absolutely did violate Geto just like he did Gojo, at least Geto managed to do a little bit of damage to Toji, unlike Gojo who got sliced to pieces. But we all knew the outcome was gonna be the same and that eventually Geto was gonna get folded the same way that Gojo did. The thing I liked about Geto in his fight though was he actually used some strategy compared to Gojo who just brute forced the whole fight. Because Geto actually tries to get this little worm off Toji, which would have taken away his entire arsenal of weapons. But that was really the only plan he had, and when that failed, well, Toji sliced and diced him to pieces. Toji's on another level of disrespect though, because him and Geto's fight was over, so why did he then feel the need to step over and give a speech to this man Geto and then kick him in the face? And I didn't even realize this until I watched this episode back, but I'm not joking when I say Toji actually wiped their entire squad. Like, it was pretty obvious, and I think we all knew he packed up Geto, Rico, and Gojo, but why did he feel the need to kill Rico's friend? She was just trying to be a supportive friend and go along with Rico's journey, but now for some reason she's 6 feet under with Rico. I have mixed feelings about these two fights though, because while I did want to see Geto and Gojo get humbled, and I'm glad that it happened, the fact that Toji killed Rico and her friend honestly makes me feel some type of way about it. In my original video, like I stated, I'm in no way, shape, or form a Gojo hater. I actually love Gojo. I just wanted to see him get humbled one time. That's it. And I think now that that happened, I'm officially proud to be back on the Gojo Glaze team, because now I found someone that I actually do hate, and it's their turn to get violated. And that person that I'm talking about now is Toji Fushiguro.